Welcome to another episode of Talk Smart with
PUGH.
and I'm McCART. That's Joe PUGH and I'm Andrew McCART. Listen, this is episode 18, I believe, Joe. We're both looking a little bit tired this morning because we were at shows last night.
Yep.
I was at CATTERALL versus LINARES. Great undercard, some good fights on the undercard, some great wins, and you were at Chamberlain Lawal. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. And obviously, we'll preview next week, Fury and Ngannou. So, yeah, will we start with Liverpool and CATTERALL and LINARES?
Yeah, mate. You was there. Obviously, bit of a shame that Shabazz had to pull out last minute, but we'll get to that. But Jack Catterall, good name on his record with Jorge Linares. How did you see the fight play out, mate?
You know what? I think a lot was made throughout the week that Jack needed to put on an explosive performance and all this sort of stuff. And you know what? Linares was always dangerous. And Jamie Moore said that he still had that sort of them fast hands. And there was elements in that fight where Jorge would use that rapid 3-4 punch combination. But ultimately, Jack was just, once he found his range, I think at rounds 1 and 2, he was sort of reaching with his shots. Once Jack found his range, he couldn't really miss with his 1-2s. And he had Jorge and Linares hurt in the 5th round, I believe. And there was a little bit of a delayed reaction because as Jorge went back the way, Jorge sort of put his arm on the ropes and then Jack stepped in. I think if Jack knew that he was hurt after that shot and stepped in, he might have got him out of there. But it's one of those, you know yourself, Joe, like if you put on an explosive performance, you're not going to get people wanting to fight you. If you put in sort of like an okay performance and you get the W, that's when fighters start going, maybe. So it's a catch-22 in reference to the performance last night. But listen, a win's a win. And all throughout fight week, and especially in that post-fight interview, there was only one name that was really mentioned. I mean, Haney Prograis winner was mentioned for Jack, but I think the only name that was mentioned all fight weekend last night was the rematch with Josh Taylor. So I think that's the fight that Eddie Hearn wants to make, whether that be at a catch weight. I need to stay awake. Catch weight. I think Josh can't make 140 again. So we'll wait and see. What plans. I think Josh wants to get out again in January. At a different weight, at a higher weight, to try and get a W back under his belt as well. So, yeah, that 140-pound division is heating up nicely, and it's a tasty little division.
Yeah, and like what you said about the explosive performances, you've only got to look at Regis Prograis' last performance. It weren't his best performance, and look, he's managed to get the Devin Haney fight, which is probably the first or the second, depending on how highly you regard the Josh Taylor fight, the biggest fight of his career. So hopefully we get that Josh Taylor fight or Prograis Haney winner. But Jack Catterall's just one of these guys who just deserves the biggest fights possible right now.
Yeah, well, that's it. Obviously, the Linares win is a good win. I think Linares said last night that was him, not in the ring, but backstage. He said that's him. He's done his number boxing. So it's Linares, a 3-weight world champion, been in Lomachenko, Haney, all these guys, and gave them good fights. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good win on his record, and I think that Jack wants, and he says that he's going to jump on a plane and be ringside for Haney Prograis. Do you know what I mean? So he's going to keep pushing for these big fights, whether that be the Josh Taylor rematch or the winner of Haney Prograis. But I think for Jack Catterall, that's the only two fights that he shouldn't really go for any other route. It should just go that way for Josh Taylor or that way to Haney Prograis. There's no other roads. Do you know what I mean? There's no point of him fighting another guy like a Linares or anyone like that. I think for Jack Catterall at this stage of his career, he wants that world title or he wants that Josh Taylor rematch. And I think you probably agree with that, Joe.
Yeah, I think Chuck Tiafimo Lopez in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another massive fight for a world title. But world titles or mega fights for Jack Catterall.
Yeah, I think with the Teofimo Lopez fight, I think it's just easier for Jack and Eddie to get the fights made with the Haney Prograis signed. You know what I mean? Yeah, but just going on the undercard though, I don't know if you've seen much of the undercard because you were in London last night. I tell you what, some of them young guns on the undercard are looking phenomenal. Like Jack Turner, a little bantamweight, 3 wins, 3 first-round knockouts, just a ferocious little puncher. Phenomenal. Then you've got Khalil Majid, great win over Tom Farrell, great body work, inside body punching was phenomenal. Paddy Lacey, first round stoppage. Will Crawler, first round stoppage. And Eddie said to me throughout the week that he wanted to see something from his young stars, his young prospects. He wants to see an explosive performance, give him something, show him something. And I think the young guns gave him, well, the vast majority of them gave him what he asked for, which was a great performance. And some of them even got spectacular knockouts. So it was a fun undercard. It was actually a fun fight card, to be fair. But yeah, I think looking ahead, I think Josh Taylor is the fight that Jack wants, because even speaking to him post fight in the changing room, it's personal, and it's getting personal, and it's always been personal. So I think this is the match that grips the imagination of the UK boxing fans and even boxing fans around the world, because these two seem to don't like each other. So yeah, I think that's the route that they want. I think that's a great fight for both fighters. And like I said, it's difficult for me because I'm good friends with Josh Taylor and I like Jack Carter. I'm friends with Jack Carter as well. When you've got two people that you like, it's like, do you know what I mean? You've got to just sit back and just maybe not even cover the show and just don't get involved. Don't get involved. But yeah, it's going to be a good fight.
Hopefully it happens, mate. Hopefully, obviously, the rematch, the first one being so controversial, and it's been brewing for what will be over 2 years by the time they do fight, if they fight. So yeah, it certainly will be personal. But just to finish off on that card, mate, I just want to speak about Aqib Fiaz and Bellotti. I haven't watched it all yet, but just from where you was, what happened, mate?
Well, Bellotti dropped him twice with a body shot. He was working well to the body throughout the fight. Aqib never looked really hurt and up until the two knockdowns, but the knockdowns were just Bellotti smothering him and landing shots around the side, and he went down. I think it was only seconds before the final bell. Jamie had thrown in the towel. The referee, I think it was Mark Lysom, I think it was, didn't see the towel. Because the round had went, he actually kicked the towel out of the ring and said, it's fine. But I think after a conversation with Jamie in the corner, Jamie just went like, no, the fight is off. Aqib was so upset, man. He was emotional all throughout the night, from the time of the stoppage all the way up until after Jack's fight. He just looked distraught. He had tears in his eyes. But if anyone you're going to learn from is his opponent, Bellotti.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He lost 3 fights on the bounce, and now he's got 3 good wins on the bounce. Do you know what I mean? Eddie Hearn said it best. It's a game of snakes and ladders. You're going down the ladder, you're going up the ladder, or you're going down the snake. It's just one of them ones. Right now, Bellotti's going up the ladders. He's been going down the snakes the last 2 years ago. So it's not the end for Aqib. He knows what it feels like to lose now. He doesn't like it, obviously, clearly, because he was so emotional and so distraught. He's going to take that in. It's going to give him more fire in his belly to think, I'm never losing again. Do you know what I mean? It's going to make him fight hard. And I said that to him last night. Just take this as a lesson. You know what it feels like. It hurts. Just don't. It's going to give you that more fire to just go, I ain't doing that again. I'm never losing again. And it's going to bring your performances on and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was emotional for young Aqib, but because I do like Aqib as well. And when you do get to know these fighters personally, it's like you feel it with them. Do you know what I mean? But again, you've got another flip side. You've got to be happy for Reece Bellotti, because he was down and out. He lost a good fight against Ray Ford. Was it Liam Walsh as well? Ryan Walsh he lost against, I think it was Liam Walsh. It was, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I'll just double check that. I don't want to. Yeah. So if anyone that Aqib can learn from is his opponent last night, which was Reece Bellotti. It's a loss is a loss, but you can come back from it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, good card. But you were at a funny old card last night with the Joe Laws and Mick Hennessy and Lawal and Chamberlain. Yeah, just speak to me about it. I've not seen much of the card, to be honest. I've only seen highlights. So just talk to me about it, Joe.
Yeah, it was a strange card, because obviously it was meant to be Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Aziz. We got the news on Tuesday that weren't going to ahead, unfortunately, because of Dan Aziz's injury to the back. The show that was meant to be happening at the O2 then got moved to the York Hall, and it went ahead as a 4-fight card, which you don't see many of these days, unless they're probably dinner shows. But started off from Carrie Sartenstall. Statement performance from her, I thought, against Vanessa Bradford, who's been in there with the best of the best, the likes of Michaela Meyer, I think, Humming Choi, I think, just a really seasoned opponent. And she dropped her twice and made her quit on the stool after the second round. and she's very vocal. She wants to be in that mix with the likes of a Raven Chapman, with the likes of a Sky Nicholson next year. So I think that was a great performance from Caris and a big statement of intent from her. Then you move on to talk about Reece Bellotti and feel good stories. This was a feel good story with Joe Laws. I know your pal Andy. Yeah, mate. He started off fast. I think I gave the first couple of rounds to Michael Hennessy Jr., but he just kept on coming and swinging for the hills. And you're thinking this is an 8-round fight. You think he's going to gas in a minute. Only on 12 days' notice, he's going to gas in a minute. But something just spurred him on, and he did not stop all night. And he won a tight decision in the end, but he was emotional. It's a fantastic feel-good story. And then we had what could be a domestic fight of the year in Sam Gilly and Louis Green. It was non-stop action, non-stop warfare. Gilly put Louis Green down once with a body shot. And Gilly said after, he said, how he got up from that, he has no idea. He's a great body puncher, Sam Gilly. And now Sam Gilly's the new Commonwealth champion, a big emotional win for him. And then Isaac Chamberlain. The fight was meant to happen earlier on in the year. McCarт, very intense in the build-up. It got a little bit heated. But yeah, Isaac Chamberlain kind of, as Isaac Chamberlain does, just boxes around him. It weren't the most exciting fight. It never really is with Chamberlain, but he got the job done. He spoke to Christopher Smith. He wants to work his way up. He said, look, I'm aiming for you. I want that rematch. Let's do that in a stadium. But another big win. He always wanted that British title, Isaac Chamberlain. I think that's his third attempt at it as well. So, yeah, a good night at York Hall. Not what it could have been at the O2 with Joshua Buatsi versus Dan Aziz, but nevertheless, a British title fight, a Commonwealth title fight, a Joe Loyce fight, which is always exciting, and Caris Artingstall.
Listen, it was fair play to them to get the show on after the main event falling through fight week, and it's always tough to get venues and move venues and get the fighters there, and you know what I mean. So fair play to Ben Shalom and all them to getting the fight on and getting a card on for the fighters and getting the guys out. Where like I said to you, I've not seen much of it. I've only seen the highlights of Joe Laws, and that was probably Joe Laws and Lee Eaton celebrating the ring. I saw that as well, so it meant a lot to Joe Laws this fight. Yeah. I spoke to him when the fight was announced, and he said this is a make or break sort of scenario for him. Do you know what I mean? And he got the win, albeit against Mick Hennessy Jr., who's probably, I think Joe Law said that he sparred him in the GB squad and stuff like that and got the better of him. So there was always that sort of in the back of each fighter's mind that they know each other. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I think Joe Law's won the mind games a little bit maybe at the beginning, because boxing's about these small percentages, and I think that leading up to the fight, maybe Joe Laws was nicking those small percentages, and ultimately he got the win last night. And you talked about Louis Green and Sam Gilly, Ellie Drew. She was at the show last night, and she obviously works with the Zone now, and she was sort of like worried about that, and at the same time, so it was a difficult one. But listen, Sam Gilly got the job done. New Commonwealth in the super welterweight division. He's a good fighter, Sam Gilly. I really like him, by the way. I've not seen much of him, but what I have seen is he's good though. I like the way he approaches the game. Do you know what I mean? He's does everything neat. Everything's perfect, and well, not perfect, but everything's neat. If you know what I mean. He's just a very, very neat fighter. Where everything, this basics is all there, and it's a good performance from him. You talked about the Caris as well, and these women fighters are putting on shows now, and they're starting to sit down in the shots and hurt each other, which is good to see. And then you go up to Isaac Chamberlain. He's already lost against Okoli. He's already lost against Bill Smith, but he's kept at it. He's kept digging his heels in, and he's kept on going and kept on chugging forward. And British champion. Every British fighter wants to win that British title. Do you know what I mean? And he's put his name in the history books now, so fair play to him. Again, that cruiserweight division is probably a very, very good division domestically, especially here in the UK, because you've got the React pause there as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the guys that you see in the Okolis, the Bill Smith, there's the React pause, Chamberlains. You've got Jordan Thompson. Let me just see him going for Vito O'Reilly, Luke Watkins. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know if Tommy Fury's a professional cruiserweight. He's built up there, so. Yeah, it's a good division, the cruiserweight division, and big fights ahead for these guys. Riakpo, Okoli, Bill Smith, Chamberlain, Mikel Lawal, even though he lost, Jordan Thompson. It's a fun division right now for these UK cruiserweights. Should we do a little segue to next week?
Yes, do it. Let's do it. Let's go over halfway across the world to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Eddie Hearn last night, and I touched on the Conor Ben and all this, and the talking about the Ben Eubank fight being on December 23rd, and he just sort of like he just went at the British Boxing Board of Control. Because they're sanctioning this fight, this Fury Ngannou fight, which I didn't know of. And Eddie, in his own words, said he was shocked when he heard the news, and he sort of like was saying, how can the British Boxing Board of Control sanction the WC heavyweight champion of the world, 30+ fights, whatever it is, against somebody that's never laced a pair of gloves before, but they won't sanction Ben Eubank, and Ben's been cleared, and he was going in at the board quite a lot. So, yeah. Other than that, man, Fury and Ngannou, it's one of them sort of like, I want to say it's your world, Joe, because you're into this sort of mixed stuff. But crossover boxing, we'll call it. Yeah. You know what? I think is it going to be an easy fight for Fury, and just because it's entertaining, I'm tuning in. I'm not going to not tune in. I just like the fact that you've got somebody that's so unknown in Ngannou in the boxing world, and Tyson Fury, who's the legend that he is in terms of what he's done in the sport so far and outside of the ring. It's going to be intriguing, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. I just think even though it's going to be an easy fight for Fury, I think Tyson can probably end it in the first round if he wanted to, but I can see him getting value for money and carrying Ngannou a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Similar to what the Chisora fight, you knew that they were friends in the Tyson Fury and Chisora, that Tyson could have stepped on and got Chisora out there earlier, but you can see as he was going forward, he was stepping out and letting Chisora come forward. So I think that's probably what Tyson would do in this fight and give us the value for money that we're going to get.
Look, let's have it right. Whilst this is a crossover fight, this isn't Misfits. This is a step up from Misfits. It is built as Battle of the Baddest. Francis Ngannou. I'm not the biggest UFC fan, but I think anyone who knows just a bit about sport knows about Francis Ngannou, his story. And yeah, it's one of those fights that I will be watching, I will be intrigued by. But I think it's the stuff that happens around it. I think I'm more worried about not Tyson Fury losing. I'm more worried about him maybe getting a cut, maybe him getting a little niggle, because all roads lead to the Usyk fight. And how this fight plays out, how his body holds up, decides when it is. So I think that's the selling point in itself for me. As you say, Tyson probably could end it in a round, but I think he'll keep it going to potentially between 4 and 6.
Yeah,
and it'd be interesting to see what Francis Ngannou brings, because Francis Ngannou's left the UFC. I know he's signed with the PFL, so he hasn't left MMA altogether, but I think he will have an appetite for boxing, and whilst he may not be at the level of Tyson Fury, I think he might want to give it a go. Yeah, it's going to be a big spectacle. But taking away from that, when you just take away that fight, it's a great card.
Yeah.
Wardley Adelaide, Wardley Adelaide is just an unbelievable fight, an unbelievable domestic fight. It's for the British title now, right? Mm-hmm. So people can have their own opinions of that, whether that's right or wrong. But British title, no British title. A fantastic fight. It's a heavyweight extravaganza. You've got your mate Martin Bacoli on it. You've got Joseph Parker. You've got Makhmudov, who I'm really excited to see about, actually, because we've heard a lot about Makhmudov, and I haven't watched too much of him. So, yeah, and I know he's high up in the rankings. So I can't wait for this card. And just with a little showpiece at the end.
Yeah, well, that's it. You talked about the heavyweight. You've got Bacoli against Takam.
Yeah.
You got two African warriors in their own right. Great fight. I think that'll be a great fight. The way Bacoli approaches the game, he's just one of them ones that just seems relaxed when he's doing Takam. You're not going to look for Takam. He's going to keep coming forward. You've got Parker versus Keane. You've got Wardley Adelaide. There's a lot of beef there, a lot of animosity between them two. And when two heavyweights hate each other, expect a knockout. I mean, expect a knockout. And you got a guy that I'm really a fan of is Moses Atuma. I really like that young man. I really like him. And you mentioned Makhmudov as well. It's, again, the heavyweight division. We just need to get these heavyweights fighting each other, especially the guys at the top. We need Joshua Wilder. We need Usyk Fury. I know it's been signed, but it's all well and good saying it's been signed. But for me, you've probably not been in the game as long as me, Joe, but you've been in long enough to know until these fighters, maybe even at the weigh-in and they're weighed in, after that weigh-in and after the face-off at the weigh-in, that's when you know you've got a fight. Because there can't be any injuries after that because you're not doing any training. You're going back, refueling, chilling out till fight night. So until that weigh-in, until Fury and Usyk are weighed in, face-to-face, that's when I'm going to be happy. But I do want to touch on something you said there about Tyson Fury getting a cut because all roads lead to Usyk. But Usyk made them comments about needing a 14-week camp, and he's still healing a little bit from the Dubois fight. He's got little niggly injuries, so I don't think that December 23rd is likely for Fury Usyk. It's 9 weeks. Well, it was 9 weeks yesterday. It was. It'll be 8 weeks for when Tyson Fury and Ngannou meet. So it'll be 8 weeks to the 23rd of December. I don't think that's long enough for Tyson Fury. Do you know what I mean? To prepare for a southpaw. Do you know what I mean?
I would say that. I would tend to agree, but from what I'm hearing, I think they just want to do that date. For what I've like, we will see, and it's hard to say, but I think they're going to go with that date. I actually do. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say I think they will go with that date. I think I saw an interview. I don't know whether it was you or somebody else with Eddie this week, and Eddie said it was like a kind of a mistranslation, the Usyk 14 weeks, where he said in an ideal world or something like that. But look, money talks, and if the Saudis are paying for it for the 23rd of December, I'm sure they'll have to oblige.
Listen, every fighter goes into a fight or throughout camp has niggling injuries, whether it be little sore hands, sore knees, sore shoulders. Every fighter's got niggling injuries, and I'm like you said, if somebody's paying me and you, Joe, right, we're just small fry. If somebody says to you, Joe, I'll pay you £1 million to fight Salt Pappy, are you going to say no?
No, mate. I'm saying, where's that dotted line?
Where's that pen? Let me sign it. Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I mean. It's money talks, and the Saudis can do a lot of talking. They can do a lot of talking with the amount of money that they can put up front. So, yeah, like you say, December 23rd seems to be the date, and it's only 8 weeks, and that'll be a quick turnaround. I think it's 12-ounce gloves as well for the Fury and Ngannou, is it not?
I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure.
Bigger gloves for these heavyweights as well. So, yeah, money talks. December 23rd. You put your neck on the line, so we'll wait and see.
Providing there's no injuries, of course. Obviously,
providing no cuts. Hopefully, Tyson doesn't really cut apart from the Wallin fight, right? I don't think I've ever seen Tyson cut but that fight.
Yeah, obviously the Otto Wallin one was really bad.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple back in the day, but none of recent note.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably wrapped up now, Joe. I think next week we'll be talking about the aftermath of Fury and Ngannou. I want to ask you for a quick prediction, though. What's going to happen? How do you see it?
I think Fury round 4. There you go. Fury round 4. What about you?
I'll just be awkward and say Fury round 5.
There you go.
I think you'll carry him a little bit longer. I think for the value for money thing, because it is. Yeah, I think for the value for money, I think Tyson can probably get him out there if he wanted to in rounds 1 and 2. But I think you'll carry him into the later rounds and enjoy himself a little bit. And definitely the mid rounds. Those mid rounds is when he'll step up the gas and get him out there. And hopefully, like you say, injury free, and we can get this Usyk fight. Because I tell you what, that when we get this Fury Usyk fight on, this podcast will break all our records that we've got in terms of views, I reckon.
Oh yeah, everything will break records because it is the biggest fight in boxing, mate.
Exactly that. Right, I'm going to watch a football game now, Joe. So I do appreciate your time as always. Sunday.
Is it the women? Are you watching the women?
No.
I thought it was Celtic Rangers.
Eh?
I think it's Celtic Rangers women today. I think, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. I'm watching the Celtic game though. It's not Celtic Rangers.
Oh, I saw Celtic Rangers pop up and I've clicked on it. I think the women have got a game today. So yeah,
it's Hearts versus Celtic today. So
big game.
Big game, yeah. If you know the history between these two, sort of like, in fact, I better not talk about it. Not on this podcast anyway.
Well, West Ham have got Villa later anyway, so we both got the football to watch, mate.
Yeah, excellent. Listen, good luck to West Ham, mate, and I'll catch you next week, brother.
Yeah, catch you next week, and make sure everyone keep watching Talk Smart with PUGH and McCART. You know where to watch it by now. Every Sunday, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate.